So this is a video I've had typed out as an idea for a while, which I'm happy to finally be making into a video, which I think now is a good time as any because with the release of Season 6 and all the content that's going to be added to the collection from that, I feel that, yeah, at this point, it's pretty safe to say that the MCC has come a pretty long way since its release over 6 years ago at this point. Hard to believe it's already been that long. And over half of that time it's spent being an absolute disaster, which just barely worked. You know, for those that don't remember or don't know, it was easily one of the worst launches in gaming history. It was an absolute disappointment, easily one of the biggest disappointments in gaming history, hands down. All four main Halo games, Halo 1 through 4, all in one collection for $60, all their multiplayers, all their campaigns, all this content and everything here. Again, for just $60, what a fucking steal. And at this point in time, there wasn't PC versions of Xbox exclusives. See, this is back when Xbox exclusives were actual exclusives in the early days of the Xbox One, when it would just come to that system, and the MCC was one of those games. And it was supposed to be the killer app of 2014 for the Xbox, but it ended up being what was probably, like, not even just a grenade going off, just a bomb that just completely exploded and just splattered its shrapnel all over the place and just led to all sorts of just absolute damage that took years to repair. Like, no doubt thousands of dollars worth, guys. That's a lot of collateral damage, fellas. We gotta really fix this shit. So, after 4 years of basically nothing, once the Series X, not Series X, the One X, because, you know, great names, Microsoft. It's totally not confusing at all for anyone. Especially the casuals. But after, the One X had released, they had decided, you know what, because the system now exists, we're gonna take the time to fix this collection. And over the past almost 3 years now, I want to say, they've slowly done just that, especially with the, I guess, refresh that it had, the revamping that it had in 2019 when Reach first got released along with the PC version of the game. And then from there, it's just gotten more and more content. It's had all sorts of content that no one would have ever expected from games such as Halo Online and all the armors with that, which are just absolutely beautiful looking. I don't know why anyone would ever have any issue with these armors. Why would you ever toggle any of these off? They all look absolutely perfect. As well as all the brand new maps, which some of them I haven't played on. Actually, I don't think I've played on any of the new Halo 3 maps in particular, which were added. New Halo 3 maps in 2021. That's wild. That's fucking wild. But just all this new content, this new leveling system that they have, this seasonal system that they have going on with all this new content, the way that apparently they're planned to have at least 10 seasons, and the fact that we're already on season 6, it's like they're just getting by these seasons one by one, just one after the fucking next. It's just one after the next with all sorts of new content, which a lot of people really seem to like. And just the way things have just turned around completely. And yeah, sure, it still has its issues. The MCC definitely still has some problems, but at this point, it's nothing that's major. No pun intended. Actually, you know what? Fuck it. Pun intended. It's nothing Michi major. Okay? I am not the cause of MCC being broken at launch because I said that. So don't blame me for it. It's just simple pun. You know, it was a real major problem with how it started out, and now in 2021, almost 7 years later at this point, the collection, whether it's on Xbox or PC, regardless of which platform you decide to play it on, is totally worth it now. Like, there's so much more content that was initially thought of, and no doubt the game in its current form has gone so beyond what was originally planned. There's so much else they can do from here. And sure, MCC doesn't have the absolute biggest player base, which is to be expected with all these games being as old as they are, since the most recent entry in this collection is almost 9 years old. Halo 4 came out in 2012. We're in 2021, so do the math. The game's almost a decade old at this point, which, man, the fact that Halo 4 is now the middle child, is now one of the middle games of the series, that's nuts. That really is nuts. I still remember when that shit was coming out and all the marketing leading up to release. Like, we can say what we will about Halo 4, because like many out there, I too am not a fan of Halo 4. I too consider it the worst main game in the series. But I'll be damned if the hype was not there The return to Master Chief after all this time? Shit. And just all these new enemies, this new plot. You bet your ass I'm excited. And then we saw how things turned out from there. And then there's the multiplayer as well. But you know, that's besides the point. Because we're talking about MCC, not Halo 4 itself. Maybe I'll get into that topic at some point in the future, just talking about Halo 4 in particular, because there's definitely some things I would like to say about it in a video, I think. But yeah, MCC's just, it's really come a long way with a lot of things, and the fact that it went from probably never being planned to be fixed, just completely abandoned, to now being as supported as it is with all these new weapon camouflages, armor camouflages, all sorts of new maps, weapons, and the way everything has just been connected together, and the way they've just improved it so much. And again, yeah, of course, it's not going to have the biggest population. It would definitely have a bigger one if these games were more recent. I mean, the fact that these older titles even have the player bases that they still do after all this time really goes to show just how great they were. Like, no truly great game can still amount at least 5,000 players after over a decade of being out at that point. It just shows how important this franchise is, what it means to so many people, and just how essential it is to gaming. You know, the fact that Halo of all franchises got so fucked over like it did with the launch of MCC is just, it's sad to see, because Halo's one of those franchises that deserves so much better than that. I think everyone can agree with that, unless you're the rare Halo hater who just completely despises the whole franchise, which, you know, opinions are opinions, so you're free to yours, as is anyone with theirs. But I think that most people, at least, do want to see Halo only being good. I think most people want it to be a fantastic game. I think most people want it to be on point, and most people want it to be on top again. And Battle Royale is not going to do that. It's going to be a good Halo game, being well supported, and just all in all being a great experience, which is worth playing. And with how they're doing things with MCC, and with how the updates for Infinite are coming along so far, with what we've been getting since December, I'm definitely feeling some hope. I'm still keeping those expectations low, like I say, but going back to the actual point of the video though, MCC, regardless of how long it took to get here, and while there's still no excuse for how it turned out originally, and while Halo MCC in particular was a very dark point for Halo in the 2010s, you could definitely argue that that whole decade was a very low point for the series. But MCC in particular, that was a real bad point. Like, that wasn't just something you could fix with a bandage. Like, that's pretty much trying to band-aid a fucking bleeding wound that refuses to stop bleeding. Things have definitely turned around for the better. Better late than never. Would more people be on MCC today had it launched better? Potentially. But the fact that we're at this point now, the way I see it, it is what it is at this point. And the fact that MCC is even functional like how it is now in our current day and age is only a good thing, so, you know, better than nothing, right? So, yeah, it's definitely come a long way, and I'm just proud of 343 for not deciding to abandon it like so many other game developers would in their position. Instead, they've tried to make a comeback, and, you know, they've done a somewhat okay job, I'd say. That's just what I wanted to say for this video. Something a bit more positive, you know. I don't want to just be completely negative when it comes to this channel. I know I can be a lot, but that's only because there's a lot of things in gaming that piss me off, and I'm only so critical and so negative because I care as much as I do, and I wouldn't be as negative as I can be if I didn't give a shit. So, it's not that I'm trying to just purposely be an asshole at times, even though I know I can be. It's because I just want what's best for gaming like anyone else does. You know, anyone who does care about gaming, I'm sure, does understand where I'm coming from, so I'm just being honest with how I feel. But at the same time, if there's a reason to be positive, I'm gonna be. And in this instance, I feel a reason to be, because I believe there has to be a good silver lining between positive and negative with something like YouTube content, you know? You don't want to be too positive because it comes off as being fake as fuck and being forced, and that's just as toxic as forced negativity. And negativity, when you're just so negative and not positive whatsoever, and you're just so pessimistic, it just comes off as just depressing. You know, there's nothing there aside from just constant negativity, so it's just miserable to watch, really. So trying to have a good balance of both positivity and negativity, and trying to, you know, find a good balance between the glass being half empty as well as half full, and just, again, having that silver lining, I think it's important. So that's another reason why I wanted to put out this video, because, especially with how things are right now, aside from plenty of negative shit going on in gaming, with just how life is right now, I think it's important to be as positive as possible and to really try to keep your head up as best as possible. So, trying to find positivity in any way you can, even with something like MCC, I think is only a good thing. So, yeah, without getting any more deep about fucking Halo, that's the video. I'm gonna stop here, because if I keep talking, I could be here for another hour, and I'd rather save hour-long discussions such as this for things I have planned in the future. When the channel's finally at 500 subscribers, which, that's gonna be fun when we finally get there. That's gonna be a cool goal to get to, but yeah, that's the vid. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like or dislike, depending on how much you hated this video. Comment, subscribe for future content coming soon, as well as turn on the notification bell and set it to all notifications, and I'll see you all next time, but until then, I'm out. Later.